In this Awaken 25 presentation, we're going to share with you a deeper definition of the word life, especially as it relates to the greater complexity of what it truly means to be human. Our second presentation will delve into the meaning we are three, not one. We believe it's important to understand this deeper definition of human life. As we'll get into some philosophy here, we promise not to go too deep. We strongly believe, however, understanding this concept, we are three, not one, is essential to an accurate understanding of your life, your purpose, and ultimately your destination. The ancient Greek philosopher Socrates once stated, "The beginning of wisdom is the definition of terms." Socrates knew then, as we know now, it's difficult to have a successful discussion with a person or a group if you first don't establish a common language. Even more so when your subject is prone to get complicated. So we're going to share a few definitions with you. Here, listed on the chart, are some concepts we'll be talking about during the course of our presentations. These aren't necessarily light subjects, mind you, so we'll take a little time with you to develop their relevance. The definitions will be foundational to our speaking about human values and our assessment of contemporary culture, achieving a greater understanding of the larger subjects we endeavor to share. The first four terms of the list, life, God, and three not one, and extension, will be explained in this presentation, as they relate to one another when we consider a fuller definition of life. Everything of importance, which we'll be covering in our presentations, will come back to this word, life, and specifically what we mean by it. Given the significance of this concept, I'd like to take a moment and reaffirm what we've said and clearly mean when we say life, especially human life. Essentially, we've defined life in several ways, and in fullness, our explanation goes beyond a simple and quick definition. It needs to, as we want people to have a very clear and complete comprehension of their life. For many people today, it's quite common for them to have a firm conviction. Life is of your body and mind, and how your body and mind is limited to the life we physically have and experience. In this definition, life is directly tied to and limited to the experiences we physically have in the reality of this world, experiencing it as we perceive the world around us, through our mind and our five senses, visually with colors, the heat and the cold, the pleasures, the smells, the sounds and tastes, and the subsequent feelings we get and the mental conclusions we reach as a result of these many experiences. And such, a definition and understanding is both accurate and realistic. This definition views the body and mind as a form for life in a physical world of atoms and molecules, and nature in chaotic order. In a world where everything is subject to physical laws of science and the elements of God's great blue earth, contained in a universe of splendor and mystery, within a reality where the mind and the heart of humanity searches for the answers and discovery. However, we would offer a wider, deeper definition, which expands beyond just body and mind. We extend our definition of life to include your soul residing within your body and mind, and we would emphasize your soul is the real you. For some, the soul is characterized as a marvel of marvels within you, held in the wretched poverty of your form. Distinctly, the soul is something rare, something precious and greater than just a body and mind. The soul existed before you were formed in the womb. It had life before you were born into the physics of this material world. It is within our soul where subconscious thought mixes with conscious thoughts of the mind, rendering insight and discernment and our moral reasoning in life's affairs. In a way, you might say the soul thinks, however differently than the mind thinks. The mind thinks with instinct, form, emotion, and rationality, or the opposite could be the case. And the mind is largely concerned with the things of the physical world, things of form which appeal to our senses, or the aspiration of such things. Yet, what do you think the soul considers? It's not like the mind of the body, which is thinking about form and senses. The soul thinks in another direction altogether. The soul thinks outward to God, your relationship with God, and your understanding of who and what God is. Your connection with God each day throughout your time in this world, your alignment with God on the things which matter most. And it is through our soul and mind we communicate and have a relationship with God. Principally, our soul thinks in a certain language. It's a language of ultimate and essential truths. The soul thinks on the basis of knowledge and guidance of these truths. They are the common terms of understanding we have with God and ourselves, to dialogue and communicate with one another. As we venture on our journey through life, our dependency upon learning and using this special language is essential. These ultimate truths have been established and placed in our soul by God's hands in the beginning of our initial creation, our soul's very creation eons ago. These truths reflect who God is, and the absence of them, who He is not. They define God's essence and being, as best as we can understand it, and God has freely shared these truths with us for common dialogue and comprehension, and they reside in us already, within our soul, waiting to be awakened in our lives. And as God gifted these truths into your soul, God has also created free will, a free will separated from His own nature, apart from His perfect self-determination. In so doing, He created the potential for thoughts and actions to occur not dependent upon His will alone, and this free will in turn God gifted to you, to reside in your soul, concurrent with His ultimate values, providing you, the individual, to ponder and make decisions about your life reflecting the nature of your character. The individual liberty you have been granted, or free will, is essentially the privilege to accept and follow, or to reject and resist, the basis of God's essential truths. When pondering a decision of consequence and impact to life, the soul and mind come together. This is the very essence of your soul, where your mind's reasoning intersects with God's truths, residing in your soul. And you are compelled to make a choice, a decision, with consequent action, either in alignment with God or not. You strengthen the soul in all instances of aligning with and accepting into your life God's ultimate and essential truths. The stability of this alignment is directly reflected in the decisions and actions you make throughout your life, which remain in consistent agreement with those essential truths. Through life, this alignment is progressively achieved as you learn and develop yourself through challenges and choices you make in body and mind and soul. As the alignment strengthens in stable commitment, the soul is nourished, and with a growing alignment, the soul expands, increasing in density, complexity, and vibrancy. With even greater alignment with God's truths, more grace flows into the soul, energizing its nature. The light of the soul becomes brighter, to a level of frequency and energy that enables greater love, a deeper understanding of your life's purpose, and a stronger connection to God, the source of all life. It is the singular life purpose of the soul to seek and achieve such growth, and by doing so, attain a frequency of your soul, which is deeper harmony with the frequency of God. As human beings, we can never perfectly match frequency with God, yet it is vital that we try in our journey of life. As physical exercise grows your heart and body, the willful alignment of your mind and soul with God's eternal truths exercise your very being. As you stabilize your alignment with God's truth, God infuses your soul with the power of the Holy Spirit, which can be likened to the purest energy of light, like no light known to man. And with the infusion of the Holy Spirit, a transformative process begins. Your soul and mind essentially evolve. They morph into a new form, for the purpose of a new life, for a destiny of a new world and physical reality, extraordinary and eternal. The something new which God develops for us is our spirit, and only God can create it. By transforming our soul and mind into a spiritual being of His forming, God makes our essence into something entirely new and greater than before. This new form, the spirit, has capability which the soul and mind does not. That capability is a new form which can move our life from our current reality to a superior one, into a new life, into a new existence with different physics, which is perfect and eternal. Only through our new spirit are we so enabled. In this way, our definition of human life is enriched with a deeper understanding of who and what we truly are. And by having the understanding, we are empowered to better pursue life and our destiny. Where some think we are just one, just a body and mind, existing on a place called Earth, living perhaps a lifespan of 60 to 80 years, we are not one, as we are more. We are more than body, more than mind, more than the limitations of a lifespan and the uncertainties of this world. As we are three, each forming into one another, soul into mind, then into spirit, three together, emerging into something greater than before. As our soul develops our mind into alignment with truth, God infuses both into our spirit, and the spirit assimilates mind and soul, making them all one together. From one we become two, and from two we are transformed by God into three. And the latter is greater than the former, and the former never returns as it once was, as it is incorporated into the spirit. Once our mind and soul are absorbed into our spirit by God's graceful hand, our life becomes one being, a spiritual being, an ultimate being, capable of crossing over into a new frontier of reality, a world more complete, more enduring than anything which came before. Our spirit emerges as a new life for a new world before us. Life is more than just the human condition alone. It is also about life around us. We call it extension. It's about the principles of creating, protecting, enabling, and perpetuating life as we can know it. Life is about extension to others. To strengthen and develop our soul, we need to reach out to those beyond us, especially those who are in struggle, wherever and whenever we meet them. Life is about extension to the entire world around us. Life of the body and mind can only exist in a stable, healthy world and enduring planet. Creating life, sustaining life, requires a healthy, enabling life of the world we are in. Life is about extension beyond ourselves. It encompasses life of the planet and deep within our oceans, nature, our meadows and plants, our wildlife in the jungles and forests and the skies above, the very health of ecosystems, habitats and rivers, the mighty glaciers gracing the northern and southern tips, glazing mountains and feeding the earth. Life is more, much more than just humanity alone. Ultimately, life is about seeking and attaining eternity, where the spirit shall live for all time forward, in a continuous harmony with God's limitless creative knowledge and unfolding being. In our pursuit of eternal existence, our life experience is not just what we attain alone, it's also how we accomplish it, how we get there. It's as much about the journey as it is about reaching the destination, and the journey comes before the aspiration is achieved. What we attain with others determines the quality of our journey. Our soul's development is both an individual and a collective journey. To be aligned with God's resonance is to outreach along the way, to reach out to those among us, family, friends, and strangers alike, with hope, with help, with love, and eternal direction. And to help others discover the truths in life, in the path to eternity. This is the full definition of life, and is the definition for which we at Awaken25.com embrace and bring forward to you for your consideration and guidance. Our next presentation in our Awaken 25 video series is all about human values. Specifically, we're going to explain why human values are important to us and our society. We'll present what different types of values there are and which are the most foundational in our lives. Please go to the next presentation, presentation number 3.